this is Mark Bucinich, Senior Reporter for LaborPress, and we're here speaking with Jack Kittle, Political Director for the International Union, Painters and Allied Trades Union. Welcome, Jack. What's the type of work that some of your members do?
We have painters, commercial painters, we have decorators, we have glaziers, we have bridge painters, we have metal polishers, wallpaper hangers. We have the guys that work in the stores, in the factories that make the paint and the glass. And I know I probably left somebody out. You shouldn't ask me a question like that, because someone's going to get mad. You look at the Brooklyn Bridge right now. It's a gigantic and very visible project. There's probably about 100 guys working on that bridge right now. We're on the Throgs Neck Bridge. We're doing a couple of the elevated train structures. All over the Willis Avenue Bridge has a crew on it right now. All over the place. We even have some guys up in like Newburgh Beacon Bridge, Bear Mountain Bridge area.
So how many total members in DC 9, Jack?
District Council 9 represents somewhere between 9 and 10,000. It fluctuates depending on the economy and the season. But it isn't just New York City. We have a territory that goes from Montauk Point to the Canadian border, roughly the eastern third of New York State.
Out of that number, what would you say the percentage of employees that are a percentage of your members that are employed full-time throughout the year?
It depends on the trade. Right now, for example, the bridge painters are in fantastic shape. Wallpaper coverers, fantastic shape. Painters, commercial painters, maybe 20% unemployed. Drywall finishers are probably even more, maybe 40% unemployed. I read in the New York Times, so it has to be true. I read that the recession is over. I kind of feel out of touch because I didn't hardly notice it. The construction industry is still in the middle of a recession. Right. The only couple of trades that are doing well.
So Jack, we talked a little bit about green technology. So that is a really big issue here in the city and around the country. Some aspects of green industry, like solar and wind, seem to be a growing part of the economy. But can you tell us about where does green technology exist in your industry, and how are your members being trained to do that type of work, and how are you getting that work? Go ahead.
The green technologies that are out there today, depending on the trade, they're learning different technologies. Now, if you're a bridge painter, you are sandblasting old leaded paint off a bridge. Now, in the old days, we would put up a sign that said, "Close window, sandblasting ahead." And that would be our definition of containment. Nowadays, you pretty much have to build a house on the bridge with a negative air system. You're going to suck air out of your containment. The idea being, if you take more air out than you're putting in, if there is a leak, it would leak inward. There's actually a lot of engineering and algebra involved that, you have engineers and architects working on this, but on the job site you have to know how to do the math to determine the volume of air that you need to move. Your commercial painters are learning about volatile organic compounds as the different paint they do now. Everybody knows about the lead coming out of it. It's more than that now, though. There are a lot of different solvents and additives to the paint that had to be changed, or even building in technology that doesn't exist yet, the ability to adapt to it later. Like, you will see everything there for wind turbines, even though in New York City, wind turbines are not going to work. But as the technology improves, maybe it will someday. So they've already got all the shafts in the building ready to go for when that happens, just for a cheaper retrofit. So what we will do, we are training our members to think about, not just think about, but to be ready when this comes. Now, there's a big difference between union and non-union. The non-union sector invests zero in training. They are just very often flying by the seat of their pants. It's not just their workers that are, what's a nice word, not as qualified, but their management is the same, because you get what you pay for, like everything else in life. So I believe that these non-union companies are going to really get caught off guard if they're not thinking ahead. On the union sector, and that's every trade, all of us are understanding what's coming. And if you don't see it, you're going to get left behind.
GC9 and are not doing so well. Can you mention some of them, and what are the challenges there? Why is the work a little bit more sporadic there?
Right now, what you're dealing with still is the fallout from 2008, just everything about it, the housing bubble, the stock market, real estate values, all of that. We're still dealing with the fallout on that. Probably the biggest issue today is banks are reluctant to lend money for construction. I guess a lot of them got burned big time. You know, it's like when a cat jumps on a hot stove, he's going to get burned, but he's going to learn a lesson, and he'll never jump on a hot stove again. Problem is, he's never going to jump on a cold stove either. So a lot of the banks right now are reluctant to get back into this game, and that's probably the biggest issue you're dealing with right now in terms of unemployment. But this is not going to be the last time we're going to go through bad times. It's not the first time. This is a very, very long down cycle right now. And even when you are working, employment is episodic. You know, I always hear people talk about, oh God, these construction workers make $80 an hour or whatever, the numbers they throw. I got a kick out of that one report from the Regional Plan Association, who just cherry-picked data and started using these yearly salaries for construction workers who are making $125,000 a year. I don't know anybody. The number sounds big, and if you were to do the math, times 40, times 52, maybe. But a construction worker does not work 12 months a year. He's pretty lucky if he's working 8 months a year. So even though it sounds like we make a lot of money, I would bet you the median income here is about $45,000 a year. And I don't know what city that's considered to be a rich guy in, but it's not in this town. Try to live on that.
You know, sure that your members are working 12 months a year rather than 8. Do you believe that there's anything that the city can do policy-wise to make sure that your members are guaranteed a full year's worth of work?
I think the easiest thing, and I don't know if it's a city issue or a federal issue, would be loan guarantees to the banks. You gotta get the bankers. I don't blame them for being reluctant, but you got to give them a little courage to free up some money. You know, they had that stimulus plan, which was supposed to be $1 trillion infrastructure project when it started, and at the end of the day, very, very little of it actually went to maintaining or building infrastructure, which actually probably would have worked. You would have employed a lot of people immediately, and then their trickle-down money employs other people, but instead, 48 states used it to just shield the debt that they had, the deficits that they had in their budgets, and really didn't employ anybody.